4 bridges there connecting the two countries of the U.S. and Canada. The bridge located less than a mile from the famous waterfalls. Now, at this stage, sources tell CBS News 2 people who were inside that vehicle are dead. Federal authorities are investigating exactly what took place. Witnesses say they saw the car swerving erratically as it approached a border checkpoint. We understand the car was coming from Canada and headed toward the United States. There is some conflicting reports on that topic. New York Governor Kathy Hochul says local, state, and federal officials are investigating all of this. At this moment, there is an increased security posture in the area. For example, at Buffalo's airport, cars heading there are undergoing security checks. And it is clear that travelers in this area can expect additional screenings. Sergeant Kerry Schmidt of the Ontario Provincial Police Highway Safety Division joins us now to bring us the latest on this. I mentioned that it's unclear which direction this car was heading, according to some witnesses. So share with us the latest information you've been able to gather on the Canadian side.
Yeah, there's a lot of information, a lot of speculation as well. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection are dealing with that situation along with the FBI on the U.S. side. Result of that situation, we are dealing with an ongoing closure of the border crossings that connect Western New York State, Buffalo to Ontario, Canada. Right now, the Fort Erie Peace Bridge is closed in Buffalo, just south of Buffalo. The Niagara Rainbow Bridge, the Whirlpool Bridge, along with the Queenston-Lewiston Bridge, just north of, just up from Niagara Falls or Buffalo, New York, are all closed due to the ongoing situation at the Rainbow Bridge. The investigation, which is being managed, I guess, by the FBI on the U.S. side with U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Again, our Canadian CBSA Customs and Border officers will be working together on any partnerships that need to be done in this investigation. I don't have any clear timelines on how long these closures will remain. We're waiting for updates from the investigators. And at this point, obviously, anyone who's traveling, planning on Thanksgiving journeys that will involve crossing the international borders between Canada and the United States, please wait and stand down until we have a clear picture of timelines of when this might take place, and then obviously when we can relieve the backlog of the traffic that's already waiting. So we don't want to see a large, gathering of people waiting, because that's a dangerous thing as well on the highways in the areas leading up to the borders, we're really in a waiting game here as the investigators are doing their important work and trying to secure the evidence and try to verify exactly what took place earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, at this point, with us speaking with each other, it's only about 3 p.m. on the East Coast, so we're only a few hours from this incident taking place. I'm sure there's an incredible amount of work that needs to be done. You mentioned there's a large amount of traffic backed up on both sides. How busy a crossing is this part of the U.S.-Canada border?
Yeah, this is a massive crossing. A significant amount of commercial traffic and personal traffic cross. Now, the Rainbow Bridge exclusively for passenger vehicles. No commercial truck traffic is on that bridge routinely or at all. All the commercial truck traffic is going through the Peace Bridge at Fort Erie on Buffalo, as well as the Queenston-Lewiston, just up the way from Niagara Falls. So that's where all the commercial truck traffic is, and we know how much volume that can obviously deteriorate quickly and have long extended lines. And so queuing of traffic on the QW, which is the Queen Elizabeth Way on the Canadian side, and the interstate highways there leading into the Canadian border crossings on the Western New York side, that truck traffic, it really has nowhere to go. There's not a lot of convenient alternatives. They're short of going all the way around Lake Erie or all the way around Lake Ontario to Windsor, Sarnia, Detroit, or up towards Kingston and Thousand Islands, up towards Quebec. So again, truck traffic will be waiting. Passenger traffic will be waiting as well. And obviously, with all the activities planned for tomorrow with Thanksgiving, a lot of people are trying to get the jump on the weekend. And unfortunately, not a good day for travelers that are trying to cross the border right now.
Yeah, Sergeant Schmidt, as you say that, we were just looking at a map, and it's clear that if this is a major transit point between the U.S. and Canada, there really is nowhere else to go if this crossing is closed and remains so, for the next few hours, perhaps for the rest of the day. Do you have a sense of just how much traffic moves between this key location that connects the U.S. and Canada?
Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have traffic volume numbers, but I know anytime there is a closure or even one border crossing, the other crossings become overwhelmed very quickly. And in the situation here, with all 4 border crossings now effectively shut down for several hours, that is a lot of commerce, a lot of trade, a lot of traffic. And again, as we are just thinking about the Thanksgiving weekend, everyone else may be looking for their extended vacation, visiting family and friends, people trying to catch flights out of the Buffalo, crossing the border. That is going to have significant, headaches for travelers and commercial truck traffic and trade. So again, we just ask people to take your time, stand by, and wait for announcements as to when the borders reopen. And then you can also monitor the U.S. Customs Border Protection website, as well as the Canadian side, for estimated wait times. And I don't know what the wait times will be, what kind of extra scrutiny might take place if there is going to be changes in checkpoint timelines. But again, you're going to need a lot of it over the next, day or coming days, depending on how this investigation unfolds.
Yeah, I think folks hear you loud and clear. If you know anyone who is traveling in this area or planning to in the next 24 hours or more, flag to them that's not a good idea at this point, as officials on both sides try to figure out exactly what happened. Sergeant Schmidt, we can see footage from the U.S. side of the border crossing. We can see a strong police presence. We can see what appeared to be like a booth that had some smoke billowing behind it. The early reports were that this vehicle swerved, crashed, or flew into the air, crashed, and then was burning. Can you help us understand just the road and the bridge that connect the two and what things look like there?
Well, it's a border crossing on a bridge. And now, again, in terms of the vehicle's movements, that's not for me to speak on or speculate on in terms of its movements. And that's going to be up to the FBI and the U.S. Border Protection to determine exactly what movements are on there. But anyone who's crossed the border knows it's usually a slow drive across, and you meet the guards at the gates. And I've seen pictures and videos of damaged houses where the officers would be working. So I think we all kind of can visualize what it might look like. I know there's unverified videos already online that I've seen, and I'm just waiting for confirmation as to what's going on. But I'd rather wait for the authorities that can speak to this specifically to comment on it before any more speculation.
Yeah, of course, that makes sense. And perhaps that speaks to why it's unclear which direction this vehicle was moving, if the road is kind of shaped in a way where you wouldn't know. I know that times that I've crossed between New York State and Canada in a vehicle, sometimes it's clear and it's one single direction, but sometimes you have to go around and turn corners. So perhaps that's one of the reasons. Sergeant Kerry Schmidt, we appreciate you connecting on the phone with us on this breaking news event. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Now bring over former FBI agent Doug Coons, who joins us as well. Doug, 2 individuals dead inside a vehicle that crossed from Canada into the United States in Niagara Falls. The FBI leading the Joint Terrorism Task Force investigation of all this. What is the FBI priority at this moment?
I would have to believe identifying who the subjects are or were, where they came from, what their ideology is. There's a lot to do right now. I think the who, the why is the most important, but you've also got the other questions to answer right now. There's a lot of interviews to do. There's a lot of forensics to do. You've got a huge crime scene. They've got their hands full right now, but luckily all field offices have a JPTF in place, and they investigate, and hopefully they're putting all the wheels into motion to get the answers that we're talking about as quickly as possible.
And because news like this is something that will worry so many people, not just those who are traveling in the region, but others who wonder if other international checkpoints, airports, travel locations are safe, the FBI won't likely release everything they know. They will probably do the opposite, right? And release very little. So what should we expect to learn in these early hours after an incident like this? Because either way, whether it was terrorism, whether it was two individuals with a axe to bear, it's disturbing. So how soon might we know more when it comes to who was behind this?
I think that's a hard question to answer. We'll have to be patient as usual. The FBI typically is very cautious with releasing information. They don't want to compromise anything that's ongoing, let on how much they know about certain things, that if there's a larger network that they might be onto them and cause others involved to go into hiding. All speculation right now, but like you said, it's one of the busiest travel days of the year. People are going to be concerned, they're going to be afraid, and that's usually the point of terrorism, is to cause fear and disruption. It seems like this was a relatively small device, but the impact that this is going to make is still big, because you've got the border being closed right now. Traffic's going to be backed up for miles, economic impact. All these things are often the goal of these terrorist acts.
And the fact that this is happening at a border crossing complicates or makes it more complicated. How exactly, as far as the agencies involved and the communication of the information they discover?
It makes it a little more complicated. The Bureau already has a relationship with Canadian authorities. There's actually an FBI office in Canada where they liaise with the local law enforcement to work on these things. They know each other ahead of time. Probably the Buffalo field office is responsible for that area, and some satellite offices will put their resources into that and hopefully answer these questions as quickly as possible. So to move on to get these borders back open and traffic moving and the holidays going on schedule with as little disruption as possible is the paramount here. You don't want to let terrorism disrupt your way of life, and that's the goal. So we want to get it resolved as quickly as possible. Hold those responsible accountable, and keep being diligent.
Yeah, because you wonder, has the threat ended, and do officials have their arms around this danger? I can also share with you that according to our Ed O'Keefe, senior administration official, is describing this incident to CBS News as, quote, more than a freak accident, but we don't yet have details. I just want to share that with you, Doug, as we also are hearing from witnesses at the scene there in Niagara Falls near the border crossing where this car crashed and the two individuals later died. It's not clear how. Let's listen to what this witness saw.
Sir, were you on the bridge or what?
No, my wife and I were walking down Main Street here, and the car was coming flying back here like over 100 miles an hour. We could hardly even see me. It was going that quick. There was a car in front of him. He swerved around it, and then it looked like he hit the fence, and this fire started, and then all of a sudden he went up in the air, and then it was a ball of fire like 30, 40 feet high. I've never seen anything like it. It was really incredible.
I'm sorry, sir, you were walking where?
We were walking up this way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And then describe it again. So
Okay, so we were walking up this... Oh, sorry. So we were walking up the road, and we seen this car coming down towards the border, and he was flying over 100 miles an hour. There was a car in front of him. He swerved out, went in front of the car, hit the fence, went flying up into the air. I think there was an elevation part. He went up into the air, and we just seen the fireball, and that's all we could see. It was just covered in smoke everywhere.
So the car was coming from the U.S. into Canada?
Yes, it was going towards Canada, yes.
Okay, did it actually hit towards the bridge? Where was that elevated area?
There was a fence there that's fenced off around there. It looked like it hit part of the fence because it's all damaged, and then it went elevated up, and then it went up into the air, and then it was just a fireball and smoke everywhere.
And did you see officers like pulling weapons or doing anything like
Not till later. I'd never seen him pull a weapon, but it took about 10 minutes for, like, the border police were there obviously, but it took about 10 minutes and all of a sudden there were just police everywhere.
All right, did you hear any other noises or anything?
We heard a big bang. Yeah.
Real loud bang, and
Yeah.
then you saw this car and the explosion.
Yeah, and I said there's no way that guy's going to stop. There's no way he can stop. He's just going too fast.
You couldn't tell if it had what kind of license plates on it? Or
No, we couldn't, no.
Well, how would you describe the car?
It looked like a Chrysler 300, but somebody told me it was a Bentley. But there's similar cars in that, so yeah. And he was swerving as he was going down this road here,
All right.
fishtailing.
We were listening there to a witness share what he saw. And just a point of clarification, he mentioned that despite seeing the car driving fast, swerving around another vehicle and flying into the air, he said it was heading from the U.S. into Canada. We understand at this point, the latest information is that the opposite as far as the direction was true. It was coming from Canada into the U.S., but these types of discrepancies can be common after a breaking news event when we're still gathering information. Doug Coons is still with us, former FBI agent. What do you make now of what's happened, knowing that the White House says this does not appear to be accidental? They need to know more, and that this witness certainly described something that sounds intentional.
Right. And like you said, it's not uncommon for witnesses to have different facts. You've got to, as an investigator, interview these people. Listen, people see things differently than others from a different angle. They'll have to sort all that out. Everything I had read prior to that witness was that the vehicle was coming from Canada into the United States. And so, my natural questions were, if it was an actual terrorist attack or planned attack, what was its actual target? I can't imagine that that's what they had planned to do, was to swerve around the line of cars and set the thing off right there. Did they get to the line and realize that they were likely to get caught, panic, and then try to swerve around it? So a lot of witnesses to interview. A few people are going to see it differently than others, and it's they'll figure out what really happened shortly. I'm sure there's got to be security cameras at any kind of border station like that, so they'll get license plates. If the car was stolen, then if the car was stolen, have to figure out where it was stolen from and kind of backtrack that investigation. Again, identifying the subjects is probably priority. Are they part of some sort of a bigger network? Are more incidents like these about to happen? So it's the prevention of anything else is a really big deal right now. That's what they're working on doing. There's so much to do on these kind of things. It's really overwhelming when you're an investigator. You've got to get organized. You've got to set up a call center so people with tips can call in and provide the information that they may have.
And that's why we want to be so careful with so much early information. Some of the details may change as we find out more and as the professionals get in there and do their work. Just for our viewers' benefit, what we do know is that 2 people who were inside that vehicle coming from Canada to the U.S. are now dead after that incident at the border crossing. The White House is watching this. The Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says he's in communication with the U.S. over this incident. And there is increased screening, we understand, of vehicles at the Buffalo airport, which is not too far away. Doug Coons, our former FBI agent, no matter what the motivation was, folks will be traveling for Thanksgiving today, tomorrow, and then heading back over the weekend. Might we see, just because of this incident, an elevated security posture, almost as deterrence? I think back to 20 years ago, post 9/11, we used to have a color-coded threat level. Might we expect longer lines at airports and more intensive searches, perhaps?
Absolutely. I think everyone's going to have even more. I mean, it was already heightened with everything that's going on in the world right now, but after this, even more so. It's that long lines, it's that traffic, all that kind of stuff.
All right, Doug Coons, we appreciate you connecting with us so quickly on this breaking news event. Thank you very much. A potentially disastrous oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. Coming up next, we'll bring you details on exactly how much has leaked and what's making this worse.
Plus, millions are taking to the roads for the big holiday getaway. We'll look at how the weather could impact your trip to your Thanksgiving destination. You're streaming CBS News.